folks to Rhode Island Soapbox. But maybe for this program I should say bienvenue à Rhode Island Soapbox, because this program is going to be about the French language and French culture, interpreted broadly as French, in Rhode Island. And my name is Barry Schiller. I'm a member of the Alliance Française de Providence. And with me is the president of the Alliance Française of Providence, Dominique Gregoire. Welcome, Dominique.
Thank you very much, Barry.
And also is Michael Hébert, who is the president of the Rhode Island chapter of the American Association of French Teachers. I think I have that right.
You got it. Thank you very much, Barry.
Okay, and welcome, Michael.
Thank you.
And hopefully people are not intimidated by their long-forgotten high school French. Most of the program, but not all of it, will be in English. I want everyone to know. And we'll start by asking Dominique, tell people who are not familiar with the Alliance Française what it hopes to do and how it tries to do it.
Well, the Alliance Française is a non-profit organization, and it's a corporation in the state of Rhode Island, and its purpose is to promote the French culture and French language here in the state of Rhode Island. It was created in 1901.
Wow, more than 100 years.
Yeah, 110 years next year. That's going to be a big celebration. And it was the third one created in the United States. And the purpose of the organization is also to establish friendly relationships between the French and the American community here in Rhode Island, but also all over the United States.
And I understand it's part of a larger...
It is part of a very big network of 1,000 French similar Alliance Française throughout the world, present I think in about 150 countries. And here in the United States, 114 chapters, practically in every state, and about 30,000 members and 30,000 students of French in the Alliance.
And Michael, same question. Tell us about what your Teachers Association hopes to do and how it hopes to do it.
Okay, sure. The American Association of Teachers of French is a national association. It's actually the largest association of French teachers in the world here in the United States. We have about 10,000 members. I happen to be president of the Rhode Island chapter. There's a chapter in every state, sometimes 2 or 3 chapters depending on the size of the state. Rhode Island being quite small, we have 1 chapter. We have about 75 members here. There's about 200 or so teachers of French here in Rhode Island. It's not obligatory to become a member of the AATF, but we represent all French teachers and students of French. Our goals basically are to promote, just like the Alliance, knowledge of all aspects of French culture, French language, Francophone culture, which is all the different French-speaking countries around the world, of which there are about 50 or so. And we support and advocate the teaching of that in schools, primary school, secondary school, at university level, as well as in the public.
Okay, so you have members who teach French at, in middle school, high school, at colleges and universities also?
Exactly.
Because as a retired mathematics professor, there's a lot of segregation by grade level in the mathematics community, unfortunately. Although everyone always gives lip service to having more interchange. You mentioned that the Francophone community is more than just the country of France, and having had French in high school so many decades ago, all I remember hearing about was France. Not even Quebec, but I think you're indicating that besides French Canada, there's other countries that speak French. Maybe not everyone knows that.
Absolutely. In fact, the curriculum in a typical French course today, 2010, for some years now, has centered on the French-speaking world. We call it la Francophonie. All those Francophone countries around the world, like I said, are more or less 50 or so. Of course, French is widely spoken in Europe. In Canada, of course, being in Rhode Island, we all think of French Canadians, the province of Quebec. In the Caribbean, obviously.
Well, not so obviously. What are the French-speaking
In the
places
Caribbean?
in the Caribbean.
The Caribbean, well, there are departments of France, which are like states to France in the Caribbean, Guadeloupe and Martinique, some territories, Saint-Martin or Saint Martin, and other islands who have had a history with France, speak either a French or a Creole French. Haiti, for example, that's been in the news. We have French Guiana in South America, the only French-speaking country or territory in South America. And we also have, and where the most French speakers are in Africa.
What? Such as where?
In Western Africa, we have Senegal and Cote d'Ivoire and Togo and Mali, and those are in the western part. The northern part of Africa, Algeria, Tunisia, Morocco. These were all countries that were part of the French colonial empire.
That's very different from my high school days when
yes,
you didn't hear
in fact,
about any of that.
Exactly. A typical contemporary curriculum includes all of that. We are in a world that's much more global. We hear of globalization, so the curriculum mirrors that very well.
The other thing I remember about my high school French is that it was first of all, very grammar-oriented, and we spent endless time on the pluperfect or past imperfect or whatever, but also very formal speaking, like "Comment allez-vous?" And in my trips to France, I never heard anyone say that. There was always the greetings were almost always "ça va," and I don't believe I ever heard that in high school at all. As a matter of fact, what would be your English equivalent of "ça va," which I think I should have learned in high school?
Shall I defer to our Frenchman here?
Well, I mean, you'd say, how are you doing?
Yeah, or how's it going?
How's it going today?
Yeah,
it's a little less formal.
Yeah. But that's how people speak, and not only that, I have observed that that's how people answer the question by saying "ça va," which I guess translates.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah,
okay. Could be "ça va bien," maybe.
Yeah, I'm really well.
Or unfortunately, "ça va mal."
But fortunately, I rarely hear that one.
Yes, thankfully.
Yeah. So, but that's exactly what I didn't learn in high school. Has that changed at all? I mean, is it more conversational?
The accent, pardon the pun, is more on culture and conversation. It's important to have the students meet certain standards, and like any world language taught in the United States, the standards are based on something devised by the ACTFL, which is the American Council on the Teachers of Foreign Languages. And there are 5 C's, in fact, they're easy to remember. They're culture, communities, connections, comparisons, and communication.
Okay,
and,
most of that's obvious, but it's not so obvious what you mean by comparisons. What is that about?
Well, everyone has their own culture. So in order to really understand another culture, one of the things is to compare the two.
Could you give me an example of what you might compare?
For example, off the top of my head, I remember taking my class when I was teaching in Providence to a French restaurant, and we had a typical French meal.
Don't get hungry now.
Which is typically different than an American meal, and in fact, it's quite topical. We talk about food, is because the French meal, the gastronomy, the French gastronomy or the French cuisine has been elected by UNESCO, the United Nations, as a protected product, if you will.
As part of the international cultural heritage, just like the pyramids or the Taj Mahal, the French meal is now part of the international cultural heritage.
To eat well and to drink well.
So what do you guys see as the comparison between the typical French meal that's now protected and perhaps an American meal? How do you see the contrast or comparison?
Well, I mean, certainly, I would, to go back on the comparison, I would probably compare the French meal with the Japanese tea ceremony.
Okay.
Okay. More than to an American meal, but I think every day in a French family, okay, is probably close to what we do on Thanksgiving. Maybe not as much food,
but or else the French would be keeling over.
Yes, but certainly getting together around the table and have a 3-course meal, and generally wine, even
conversation.
And conversation. Even if you are 13 years old, you would have some wine with water, and so there is, and of course on Sunday, you know, would be the high ceremony, if I wish to say that. But you know, generally with more members of the family being present, you know, and I can remember going to my grandmother for Sunday meal and, you know, having really a feast, you know, and seriously.
Well, it's, again, don't get hungry because we still have a ways to go. But maybe this is a good opportunity for me to segue to asking you about your background, Dominique.